Okay, so to do your hats, these are the things you're gonna need. This is your hat hoop. This is your hat stabilizer. Actually, with some stabilizers, the structured caps, you do not need stabilizer. Actually, I've gotten away with it sometimes. I'm not gonna say that I forgot, but I think I forgot. Um, I was doing a bunch of structured caps and then I went to the foam hats and then I forgot to put it. But honestly, when I finished, I didn't find any difference between those of the foam caps that I did use stabilizer on versus the one that I did not. So I will just call it a happy accident and I'm not going to push my luck. But yeah, this is a stabilizer. I think I got it from probably Gunnelled. I think it was like 60-ish Canadian dollars. So for you, it may be like 40-ish US dollars. Um, these needles, I tend to use Organ. Now this, well, I also use a Bai machine, BAI. This is the regular 7511. This with the NY is the sharp for the structured calves, which I don't have in front of me right now, so I'm not gonna go there. But yeah, this is the regular um ballpoint that you just use on your clothes. You can do these hats, these foam hats with them, and it comes out pretty good. This you'll need the sharps for the others. So I just wanted to show you the difference. These are your two release clamps. There is one at the bottom. You will use it. There's actually one on your machine. It looks exactly the same. You use it to release your hat hoop because this is where you're going to be hooping your hat as well. There's one under which I'll show you. This is the clamp at the bottom. So you press them not necessarily at the same time, but it does this troublesome thing where you may be pressing the two at the top and then the one at the bottom, it reclamps the hoop. So you got this though. To put the hat hoop on this, you make sure that this goes in here. So that's how you know it's straight. You push it in, then you listen to it clamp. Oh, wait, the bottom wasn't on there straight. So you probably didn't hear all three, but and then the one at the bottom would have clamped as well. Okay, I'm not gonna play with it, but just know it clamped. You cut some stabilizer next. Your stabilizer will go on the hat hoop like this. To put your stabilizer on, you actually put your stabilizer on before you put the hat. So you just slide it in like this. Before you put the hat on the hoop, you have to make sure, well, this one came with a plastic one. Sometimes they come with form keeping little material. Sometimes it's just cardboard, but you don't want to get plastic on your machine. I assume that would be a problem. These came with cardboard ones, but I already took it out and threw it away. It's gonna be my hat. If you are doing it for a customer and you're gonna ship it, um, I normally just leave it there so it keeps the form and it doesn't get crushed during the shipping process. But this is mine, so I safely threw it away. Your second thing to look out for before you hoop your hat is you have to remember to release this. If you do it like that, you're gonna stitch here, and then that could be very irritable for the wearer's forehead because you're gonna have the stitch here. I can't imagine that it's a comfy feel. So we do that. We open it here. The stitches go here, and then you cover it before it touches your forehead. So you have that. Smooth lining. It's very smooth, actually. Well, most people have hats, so I assume you know what I'm talking about. So to put it on, you bring it, it always goes brim side upwards. You slide it under. Remember with this up, otherwise you're just going to stitch on it. And then bring this in. If it touches, some hats do not touch. Some hats, this material is not that long. I can't remember which ones they are. They escape my mind right now, but not they're not always this long. If it is, great. If it isn't, it's not the end of the world. I have it hooped. This is what is going to secure. It's called a belt. It's called something belt, which I cannot remember right now. But this is the belt that's gonna secure your hat onto the hoop. Now this is where you're going to test your strength. You pull the hat hoop. Sorry, you pull the belt, not the hat hoop. You're not pulling no hat hoop. And then you have to push this under here and then pull this back up. I feel like Patrick in that SpongeBob episode. Push. And then you pull this back. Ouch. Okay. It'd be like that sometimes. But now my hat is not straight. Right, which I forgot to show you the most important. Okay, maybe not the most important. But when you're hooping the hat, because the hat hoop will bring the hat to the right, you should hoop the hat a little bit to the offside of the left, which I will show you. Okay, so looking at, oh, that's a little bit lint. Looking at the hat is obviously not straight. This is what you can also use to gauge. It's off by a little bit. So because the belt pulls the hat toward the side, it is always recommended that you hoop the hat a little bit to the left, and I don't know why I forgot that, but it was a good teaching experience. So I'm just gonna redo it. Okay, okay, it's not the straightest, but I'll take it. What I do is I cheat, and I will just line the middle of the design right here. At least it's not too off, so it will just center itself when I put it on the machine because nobody got time for that. Okay, so for this part, I will actually be removing the hoop, and then I'm going to hoop it back because, well, I tried to hoop it earlier, and then I forgot one of the wheels needed to be aligned. Well, the front wheel, or sorry, the back ones needed to be aligned with the front ones. Not necessarily forgot, but I missed it, and I was missing it the entire time. So I tried again, and I was successful. But now I'm just gonna remove it and show you so you don't make the same mistake that I did. And you'll probably make your own mistakes at some point, but at least we can avoid this one. Okay, so I finished removing, well, not necessarily removing, but I unscrewed it. I'm gonna leave the screws in there. So it doesn't get lost. This is your cap driver. You only have one of these cap drivers, but you have two hat hoops. Well, if you have a Bai, I'm not sure what the other machines come with. But when you are putting this in, there's a hole for this place. Actually, I forgot one of the most important things, but um, I'll go back. Let's look at needle plates. You should, again, if you had a Bai, when your machine comes, the cap driver would have been on the machine in addition to this needle plate. You see how much farther up it's raised as opposed to this one that's on the machine? The one on the machine is for garments. It's for flat. It's just for hoops, like regular garment hoops. This is for hats because the hats are a bit more curved and raised. So I guess it takes a little bit more effort for everything to line up on the machine, of course. So this is the needle plate you need to do to install for the for garments, for hats. Sorry. Some people though have admitted to keeping the hat needle plate for garments, and they just never switch it out. I haven't tried it, but mm, maybe worth trying one time, I guess. Okay, so I just removed this one with a knife. This one is a little bit stronger, so you'll need this machine. This, if it came with your machine, it should have. Mine did. A flat end would work with it, except the little space in between is too short to fit a whole flat end. So you're gonna need one of these. I've seen people use coins. I haven't had much luck with that. I don't have much patience for that. So I'm just gonna use this. Well, if I'm talking about patience, I should try it because look how much time it's taking me. Okay, come on. Jai Rastafaris. Bonjour, I need to clean my machine. Papa met. All them bunny ears I do for the Easter. Yeah. Should maybe take that out. So the two big ones go at the back, the two bigger ones, and the smaller one goes at the front. Okay, so when you're putting this in the cap driver, be careful it doesn't get grease on your hand because in here is very greasy. I don't know if you can see it, but it's all here in the lining. Also, you need to put it in the hole at the top, this hole at the top, so you can fit this in here. Also, my issue with the live, this is what was not aligning properly. You need to line all the wheels with the bottom of this. Well, actually, kind of under here, but you will see it. I may struggle again, so bear with me. Oh, okay, never mind. We're good. So I'm just going to go at the top and screw it back. Actually, I may show you where those screws are. These. So just like the arms for the other garments, like the flat hoops, you want to put this in here as well. And then line it up on the other side. So the difference between the long arms or the arms for the other ones and these, the arms come with two sets of screws. This comes with one set of screws for each side. So the other one has 4 screws. These have 2. All right. You have a hat hoop installation. Congratulations if you've gotten this far. If you have not, feel free to watch it over or ask me questions. Now we're going to put the hat on. All right, so here's the hat. Now, of course, your hat going to need to be in this way for it to be embroidering. However, it can't fit in like that. So you're going to need to put it to the side. I cannot see. And then make sure it goes in all your clamps, all 3. And boom, you have a hat installation. Well, I'm only manually moving this because I manually moved it forward for me to be able to release the other long arms. Actually, let me remove that hat because when the machine goes on, it's going to need to adjust. It's off right now. And I do not want this hat to damage my machine. All right. I've removed it. It's on. Now I'm going to put it back in. Not sure what to do now. It wasn't in straight. What is going on? Okay, it's on. But while I was installing the hat, sorry, not the hat, the driver. I manually moved it so it's not naturally in the center. So I'm just gonna move it wrong way. I'm just gonna move it manually until the laser hits the middle of my hat. So that was my kind of cheat code. So this is where the middle is right now. Of course, that means my design is no longer in the middle of the hoop, but that's okay because I'm not even outside the parameters. I will show you. It's all the way here as opposed to being like here, but that's okay. It's just because of me moving my stuff so much. So you move it by doing this or up or down, like just like the regular hoops. Now it's sort of almost. All right, it's in the middle. Now, as always, you trace your design. Don't worry, that's just the stabilizer making noise at the bottom. um, you just want to make sure that when you're tracing this, just like the edges of your regular hoops, you don't want your needle or that part, the foot, to hit the belt at all. As you can see, mine is very far from it, so I can, well, this mama design is kind of small, so it's a lot more forgiving than another pattern maybe. I have space to move around. Depending on what you're doing, you may not have all that space, so you will need to install the hat as correctly as you can or as precisely as you can. So because you won't necessarily have all that space. Always have all that space to move around. I just wanted to go a little bit lower, so I'm gonna trace it again. I feel that's okay. The back, you just tear it out like regular tearaway. Clean up the insides. I like to cut the threads, but this is my hat, so I don't really care. But if I'm sending the hat out, I'm gonna be cutting the threads, like the loose ones. Maybe not with these scissors, maybe the shorter ones, but each his own. Now, with the water soluble stabilizer, it did its job because here the stitches are wider, but that's what it does anyway. It gives the stitches their full potential. Here it was kind of thin, which I guess is as expected. It's up to you really. But for some patterns you may want to use that stabilizer. Now I have a hat, y'all. Thanks for watching.